This is Jonathan Agnew here for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined once again by the WBO Super Featherweight Champion of the world, Jamel Herring. Jamel, fantastic win earlier this month against Carl Frampton. You had a few weeks, I guess, to reflect on it. How do you reflect on it, Jamel?
Um, Definitely a great moment for my career, especially. But right now I'm just ready to look forward to the next big thing. Like I said, it was a great night. Don't get me wrong, it was a great night. But for me as a fighter, that I still have that hunger, so I always want to focus on achieving the next big task ahead. But I'm truly honored to get to share the ring with a great fighter like Carl Frampton because, like I've stated in the past, I always respected him. I've been a fan of his career and everything he's done. So it's definitely a huge you know, it's just a huge moment for my career because, like I said, I got to stamp that as a big victory, probably the biggest victory of my career, but with a fine gentleman like Carl.
How did it feel, obviously Jamie Moore threw in the towel in the sixth round. When that moment came and you knew you won the fight, how did that compare to when you won the world title?
It was greater. It was actually greater than the Ito fight because now I have a victory over a great champion. And like I said, Carl has accomplished more than me. So to get a victory over someone who's well established in his own rights was like one of the biggest moments I could possibly ask for. And not to mention, like it was just a lot going into it. They said that they were the stronger fighter, they were the better boxer, and even before the knockout, you clearly seen that I was dominating round by round, but just boxing smart and just putting on a beautiful performance before the end came.
You proved a lot of people wrong, it seems, in that fight. The way you performed, even, I guess some people even thought, you might have got to Dubai too late. And there's a number of factors, but you really showed how great of a champion you are and your pedigree in there.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot going into it. They thought I was going to. I made a mistake by getting to Dubai, like you pointed out, too late. But for me, I wanted to finish most of my training in the States, where I was training at in high elevation, which actually proved to be the big factor because you clearly seen during round by round, I wasn't getting tired. If anything, I was picking up the pace more and more with each round. And that came from training at high elevation. And then they thought that I was having trouble with the weight. Clearly at the weigh-in, I weighed less than him. Matter of fact, I weighed less than him in the weigh-in. And when I put the weight back on, it showed it wasn't a hard weight cut. We've seen with guys like, let's say, Miguel Burchell, who they say who had a terrible weight cut against, Oscar Valdez, and it showed in that fight. Oscar, not taking anything away from Oscar's performance, but you clearly tell that Miguel just couldn't get it together because he had, because of he probably had a bad camp or a bad cut. So I wanted to prove differently that I did everything correctly in my camp.
How do you make the weight? What's the secret?
Secret is you got. I have a nutritionist. I was stressing that throughout the whole buildup. Like I trust me, I can't do it by myself. I'm not gonna lie. I cannot do it by myself. I have to literally go by the book with my nutritionist. But when you like for me, when you want something so badly, you will make those sacrifices. Like I had to cut back on certain things that I normally like to eat during camp, but I knew how big of a fight this was. I was willing to do that, and I think my nutritionist, Paulina and Dara at Perfecting Athletes, for guiding me to the way because they play a big part, and that is not, and because you see a lot of fighters they starve themselves, which weakens them as well. But for me, um, she puts the right nutrition in me do it that way. I'm fully functional and still performing well and being strong in the ring. So that plays a huge part. I mean, yeah, we've seen fighters kill themselves to make weight, but what good does it do in the fight? You made the weight, okay, great job, but are you effective? And I know that's what they're looking at as well. They thought I was going to be weak. They thought I had too much of low body fat and things of that nature after the weigh-in. They were still saying things, but like I said, with a great nutritionist, she got me in the ring feeling at 100%, and that's the secret.
In terms of the fight itself, you were in control for a lot of the fight, but Carl did come back into it. People felt in the middle rounds. How did you find sort of sharing the ring with Carl? What did you find out from yourself having shared the ring with him?
With him, you have to be focused, fully focused each second of the fight with Carl Frampton. That's what I've learned. Like you've heard it from like guys like Tim Bradley and Andre Ward at times behind commentating. They would say that I would fall asleep at times in the fight. Well, for this fight, I had to make sure that I was fully, had tunnel vision and just focused solely on Carl because he's a crafty veteran. You never know what tricks he may pull out. 1 minute he may win a box, next minute he's trying to close a distance and trying to beat up your body. So, with Carl, I just had to, and you guys seen it. That ring wasn't the biggest ring, so it wasn't like I had too much space to really run around and move around myself. So I had to watch my surroundings and where I was at in that ring because I didn't want to find myself too much on the ropes because I knew if I would have been on the ropes too much, he would that left hook, that devastating left hook that he has in his arsenal, that probably would have caused me a lot of problems. So even like when I got cut, I just had to stay focused and not and just listen to my team. More importantly, I had to listen to my team because even in the Kendall fight, we had issues where they felt that I wasn't listening enough. So with Carl, which is a bigger fight, I had to like really fight the perfect fight, if I may say.
Um, when you look back at the Oquendo fight, I remember you weren't very happy with sort of everything about it. But when you think to this fight and the cut when it happened, did you kind of think back to the Oquendo fight and you thought, I know how to deal with this now. I'm not going to panic. I know you're a professional anyway, but to have gone through that experience, to go through it in the biggest fight of your career, you know, when you look back to the Oquendo fight, do you look at it as sort of a blessing in any way?
Oh, yeah, definitely, because like it answered a lot of questions in just one fight. Just the Frampton fight answered a lot of the questions about who I am as a person, my character, and my heart. And for the most part, I knew what was wrong with the Oquendo fight. Obviously, we seen it. It was a dirty fight for starters, but people forget I was coming off of COVID-19, and you seen just recently what COVID did to Alexander Povetkin's performance in his fight. He didn't look to, his body wasn't reacting well to anything. And and it's crazy with the Oquendo fight, I was winning the fight. And it wasn't like it was a fight where I was losing and I was looking for a way out because I was down on the cards. No, I was winning the fight. He had at the point deducted already. I scored a knockdown. So I was well ahead in the fight. But I really could not see out of my eye. And, because it wasn't so much as the blood, because the blood your team can fix that up and you go back out there if you have a good cut man for starters. But with me, what my situation was, and I provided medical records after the situation. I had a scratched cornea, which meaning the eyeball itself was scratched, and that's what was causing my blurred vision. They had to do it. They had to do a CAT scan because they also thought that my orbital bone was broken. And we seen what happened with Dubois with his fight with orbital bones. Kell Brook had two, and luckily for me, it wasn't a broken orbital bone, but they thought that it was because I had a chip fracture in my that was messing with my vision as well from an old injury, probably from the Denis Shavkov fight. But it didn't heal properly. So there was a lot. There was a lot going on with just my eye, other than blood, but you see me. I didn't take it too personal. I didn't make excuses because inside I knew what was the issue. I was like, okay, I know once I get fully healed, my eye gets cleared, the next fight I'll be perfectly fine. And like you said, the blessing in disguise came from I got cut in the same eye. So I was like, okay, now I really get to show that I can handle things under pressure with a better fighter in Carl Frampton, because we know Carl is levels beyond Oquendo, of course. And I handled it and I passed it with flying colors. So I hope for the most part that ends that whole ordeal that I was going through with Oquendo, that I quit and things of that nature. But like I said, I'm just glad that I'm still here as the champion. So I really can't complain.
Mm. In terms of your eye this time around, how well did it heal? the recovery? What did the doctors say to you?
I mean, you see it now. Like, there's not really much you can't even really tell if people
No,
who
yeah.
didn't watch the fight. If people didn't watch the fight, you wouldn't tell that I was cut up or anything. But I know for the most part, my nutritionist again plays a. She wants me for my own safety to maybe go see a plastic surgeon just to clean up the scar tissue. So because of course I'm a southpaw, and southpaw orthodox fighters, the clash of heads is common. So that's the only thing that she's concerned of, maybe opening it up again. But it's healed. It's healed perfectly fine. Like I can sit there and swipe my eye all day without worrying about anything opening up. I only had the stitches in for maybe like 5 or 6 days. So it was that was that, and like I said, my eyesight wasn't bothered. Even when I came home, I would forget that I had stitches in my eye because I wasn't like sore or in pain or anything like that. It was just a cut. So, but like I said, it wasn't the first time I've been cut. Probably won't be the last time I've been cut. But the Okendo fight wasn't the cut. It was the eyeball itself. I've been cut before the Okendo fight and won fights by knockout or wipe out I shut out every round. So blood doesn't bother me, but for my own safety, my nutritionist recommends that I go see a plastic surgeon just to clean up scar tissue around my eye.
Hmm. We spoke, and you spoke to a number of other people about this before the fight. You were sparring Terence Crawford.
Right.
Looking back now, how crucial do you think that was? Do you think it played a part in the fight, that sort of preparation?
Definitely. And I would say it played a part because of the moment when I got cut. When I got cut, Carl pressed the action, and it turned into a little bit of inside fighting. Now, the reason why I brought Terence Crawford in for camp was because it wasn't so much of the boxing aspect. It was the fact of how you deal with when you're under pressure, when you're dealing with pressure under fire. And, him being the bigger guy and the more physical guy, I knew that I needed that because I felt in my heart there was no possible way that Carl could beat me in a boxing match, meaning that, if we're playing a test match and I'm using my physical attributes, my range and my height, there was no question. Like, and you guys seen it in the fight, there was no way he was beating me in that department. But I knew that, and we always plan for plan B and C. So we figured that the only way he could probably find success is if he presses the fight and makes it ugly. And we like any smart fighter would know that he's going to look at your last performance and figure, well, Okendo gave him fits on the inside, and I'm better than Okendo, so maybe that's a tactic we can use to disturb his rhythm. And you've seen it. When I got cut, what happened? He pressed the action. So when we had Terence Crawford in camp, he basically took, put me in more of a firefight where I had to fight my way out of things. He tried to bully me. He pressed me. He pushed. He backed me against the rope. I had to fight on my way to get off those ropes. Fight my way back into the center of the ring. If you watch the fight, what did I keep doing? I kept finding my way back to the center of the ring where I was really finding success at. So that's why I brought a guy like Terence Crawford in. And obviously it helped because I remember I had him on for an interview with me, and he even said it, like he's there to make me dig deep, and just fight when I don't want to fight, make you uncomfortable. But that's why when Carl did it, I'm like, I've been here before with Terence. Like, Terence is the bigger guy. He's the more physical guy. So if I can handle that, okay, I can. That's why I was real calm and subtle on the inside with Carl, because I've been through worse in the gym with Bud. So that was our whole reason for bringing Bud into camp.
And when sort of Jamie sort of compassionately put the towel in, did you feel like that was the right stoppage?
Definitely. I mean, you guys seen it. Like, his legs wasn't under him, and I like Carl. He's a good guy. He's a husband. He's a father, and we've seen too many instances in boxing already where fights went longer than they should have to. Like, for instance, again, the Bachel fight. I thought that fight should have been stopped in the 4th round when the referee was counting and he was swaying, like clearly swaying back and forth, and he didn't have his legs under him. And then you see what happened. You see what happened in the end. He got knocked out cold. Josh Warrington, another fight. He got dropped the first time, and people actually thought that the referee should have stopped it then because he didn't have his feet under him. And what happened after that? Josh Warrington gets knocked out cold. So Jamie being a great trainer and a smart, and you know, and he loves Carl. He loves his fighter, and I respect that. He did the right thing because there was a lot of it was a lot of time in the round, and it was only going to get worse. You know, I mean, Carl, I give him credit. He was trying to fight back, but you clearly seen that's when he was taking a lot of clean shots after that second knockdown. So Jamie did the right thing, and like I said, I just hope that Carl is feeling like himself today, and he can be with his family and just enjoy life without worrying about injuries playing a huge effect with the way he lives going down the road.
And just lastly on the fight, I mean, everyone loves, a build up where the two fighters are arguing and etc. We knew we weren't going to get that with you two, but there seemed to be still a lot of interest in the fight and with the way you and Cole sort of conducted yourselves. How much of an advert do you think for the sport that build up was, do you think?
That I think we made a great point that we don't have to be assholes, simple as that, or out of character. We don't have to get out of character and play the villain, or one fighter plays the good guy, and other plays the villain to sell a good fight. People, like you mentioned, people are still talking about it today. A whole like 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, 2 weeks later, people are still talking about the fight today. But they're showing a lot of love and respect, even from his fan base. I've gotten a lot of love. I got a lot of love and support from his fan base, but they're like, you broke our hearts, but we respect you as a man. You carried yourself like a gentleman, and we just want to see what's next for you in your career. And you can't ask for more than that. I mean, that's a lot of you. Who wouldn't want to be loved by others from different areas of the world at the end of the day? So I mean, I think me and Carl showed that we could be huge draws by just being ourselves and great ambassadors of the sport.
What did you say to each other when you met up in the hotel? You obviously took that
Oh,
photo.
like I just told him thank you. I just told him thank you for giving me the opportunity. I know I'm the world champion, but like I mentioned, I respect him so much. I felt that it was a it was a huge blessing just to share the ring with another great champion. Because not we live in a world today where a lot of world champions don't have those big fights. They may have a world title, but they don't have the marquee fights that people would want to watch years later on down the road. And that was a huge fight for me for not for my just for my career, but for boxing. So I just thanked them, and I wished them well. And I told them that we will have to link up sometime down the road, just to share a few laughs and maybe a drink. And that's what it's all about. In the end, it's all about being a good sportsman. And he was a great sportsman. He gave me my respect. He said, "Hey," he said, "I just couldn't get on the inside. He said you're a sharp fighter. You kept sharpshooting, and you had he just gave me a lot of respect for my game plan." And like I said, we all embraced from my team to his team, and there was not a single bad word or anyone being standoffish or anything like that. It was just a lot of love and respect, and then we just went our separate ways.
Did you enjoy being in Dubai, or as a fighter, do you not get to experience it that much?
I really, like I said, I would say my wife enjoyed it because she got out. Jennifer got out a lot, but for me, I think I was my main focus was just to fight. Like I mean, I got out when I could, like just to get some fresh air and stretch my legs. But for me, I was just solely locked into the fight. Like I really like. That's why I said I would love to come back to Dubai and when I'm not focused preparing for a fight. But for me, I was just focusing on handling the job at hand because this fight was just huge and big to me. So, but for the most part, what the stuff that I did do in Dubai was fun. But I think I couldn't really enjoy it. Like I mean, even my coaches enjoyed it more than I could. They were always out doing something. But hey, it is what it is.
Jamel, you made it very clear after the fight you want to fight the WBC champion Oscar Valdez next.
Right.
Um, how likely a fight do you think that is? Obviously, we know that the WBO have said that you've got 30 days from that fight to decide
Right.
if you want to fight Shakur Stevenson, who's
Yep.
I believe penciled in to fight June 12th.
So, yep.
Um, Has there been any update on that whole situation?
Right as of now, I know MTK Global is doing a lot behind the scenes in terms of making that matchup. But I know that Oscar and his team, they want to fight. But like you said, it's a lot, I guess, dealing with my situation with the WBO and things of that nature. So we're just trying to work that out. But there's definitely a big fight for the division, a big fight for boxing. I don't believe the super featherweight division has had a unification in over a decade or so. So that would be definitely a huge fight for the division in boxing. But like I said, we both want to fight. We both obviously Oscar's expressed it before. I got my victory over Carl. I mean, he put out that he was looking closely at that fight for that reason, to make a huge matchup. But if it happens, I really would, I really would love that. I really would, be excited if that fight happens. But there's always plans for me. Like I said before, also, I had plans moving him back up to lightweight and campaigning there again. But I think the Valdez fight probably will be the bigger fight and the smarter fight to make at this point, especially with if we can compete for the lineal championship of the world as well. So I just have to wait and see.
So is a fight with Shakur still a possibility? I mean, he
Yes.
clearly wants the fight, but
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Those fights are always a possibility. I never, rule out anything because, if it makes sense, why not do it? But I think, like I said, the first option, of course, before a Shakur fight or moving up to lightweight would be, a Valdez fight, and possibly becoming a two-time world champion. People forget that part that there's a lot more to gain fighting Valdez. Winning another world title, becoming the number one ranked man in your division, becoming the lineal world champion. So there's a lot more that plays into the Valdez fight. But yeah, of course, you can't overrule a fight with Shakur or me moving up to potentially fighting for another world title up there. But my thing is I wanna accomplish more world titles in my career before I call it the quits.
just lastly on this, could you concede a situation where you might have to vacate if you're to secure a fight against Valdez?
That's something that I don't want to do, and I know I've gotten some criticism a bit because of that. But it's like one of those things where like my hands are tied. Like what you like if a Valdez fight is presented, but I can't put my WBO title on the line. Like what do you want me to do? Like I'm still fighting in a world championship fight, which would be for the WBC and the Ring Magazine's lineal title. So like I don't understand the outrage at times, but like I said, as a proud champion, of course I don't want to give him my title, but that's just sometimes how the business plays at times, and I just got to I just have to do in the end what's best for me in my career.
Um, I know you saw Oscar Valdez's comments? I think you spoke to Fight Hub. He seems very respectful of you, and he seemed to want the fight as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like we're both at the top of the division right now. We're both top rank, and we both, more importantly, we want the fight. So I don't like if my thing is that Oscar Valdez is also ranked higher than me in with whoever you ask. Also, so why is it that I'm getting criticized for fighting the guy who beat the man? The man who beat the man. But that's just boxing, and I don't stress it. Like I said, I know at the end of the day, it's another huge fight that can be made, and why not? Let's do it.
So how many fights realistically do you see left at 130? Because I guess with the WBO rules, you go up to lightweight, you're automatically, I believe, number one.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. So I have plenty of options. I have plenty of options to go with. So I'm not really stressing what people may say or think. Like I'm looking out for me, and I'm still trying to get into the biggest possible fights out there. But if a Valdez fight comes, that may be my last fight. Who knows? If another opportunity may come, but I think that'd be the biggest fight to make. And what's left? Like you're the lineal champion. You're a two-time world champion. What else is there for you to accomplish?
Mm. And yeah, Jamel, appreciate your time. What do you want to say to maybe your supporters, your fans, new fans from the UK, and also your training team, who I remember you telling me were predicting the knockout?
Yeah. Like I said, I just want to say thank you for everyone who supported me. Thank you for all the new supporters that I've gained. You guys have been great, very respectful. And hopefully we'll get some new fight news from me soon. Like I really want to get back into the groove of working in the gym again. But I'm enjoying the time off now, obviously with my family, which is a blessing. But I'm still hungry and I want to make those big fights and have a great year. But thank you all for who have reached out to show love and support.
And just lastly, Jamel, before I forget, what's your opinion on Gervonta Davis moving up to 140 to challenge Mario Barrios?
I mean, hey, he's doing what he feels is best for him in his career. I have nothing bad to say about that. I think actually that'll be a good fight because Mario is a pretty big, junior welterweight. But like I said, Javonta's doing what he feels is best for him. I have nothing bad to say about that. Wish him all the best of luck and things. But like I said, we'll just see how that one plays out.
Great stuff. Jamel Herring, appreciate your time. And hopefully we'll speak again at some point.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
man.
Really appreciate it.